or not, I have gotten more Batman shirts since the last time I filmed this tag. Hello, my lovely friends, it's Margaret. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we are doing take 2 at the If Books Were Superheroes tag. This is a tag that I created for Free Comic Book Day in 2018, like way back when I first started my channel. I was a brand new baby booktuber. It's real fun to go back and watch that and see my lighting and my makeup and what's going on, and the foundation doesn't match, all kinds of stuff. I have a few pointers for 2018 Margaret, but a friend needed a tag to do. I suggested they do that tag, and then they came back and were like telling me things about this tag, and I was like, I don't remember any of this. I don't remember being this person. And so I went back and watched it and was like, it would be interesting to see what my answers would be now in 2022. So it's been 4 years since the last time I did this tag almost, and here we are. I'm gonna do it again. And then I also thought might be fun to do an updated version of this tag. So keep your eyes out for tomorrow, because I am going to be having the If Books Were Superheroes tag Bat Fam edition. Listen, I'm supposed to gush about books and Batman, and I just have been kind of lacking on the Batman front, so we're making up for it this year. Thank you, Matt Reeves. I'll have all of the questions down in the description box for you, along with timestamps, and I'll also have the original video linked just in case you want to see what my answers were there. I think, like, for sure, only one of these is a repeat. Is that how that works? One of these may be a repeat. All of the others are new. That's what I'm trying to say. Our first question is Captain America, your favorite book from last year. Margaret, where are words? There are words missing. That was an easy one to find, so we're gonna have to say Babylon's Ashes by James S.A. Corey. I just loved the way that they took all of the things they had been building and kind of brought them to a kind of like a head, and the way that they were going back and forth with different points of view. I think it's the most ambitious book that they have done so far, because they were trying to pull so many different pieces together trying to make this book. I liked how they were telling the story that they were trying to tell, and how they had all the different characters and the different places that you were seeing things, and like there was not a single dull moment in that book. And also, I love these characters. If you haven't heard me gush about the Expanse series review up top, there's more thoughts about the characters. I love them so much. Just so much. Like, I'm scared to finish the TV series so much. I'm also waiting on my brother, who hasn't said anything since the last time I brought it up, so I have a feeling he may have finished it without me. The second prompt is Wonder Woman, your favorite ray of sunshine. So I'm going with Safi Van Hostel from Truthwitch. She is just like, I love Safi. For someone who is really smart, she's also very dumb. She's always like, she's very good at looking on the bright side. Things get dark in later books, but especially in the first 2 books, she's just like, take charge, doesn't let anyone tell her what to do, always has a good joke, a quip. She's ready for, like, not ready for any situation, but she faces every situation with aplomb and like a go-get-'em attitude. And I love her so much. She's like one of my new favorite characters, or was when I read this book. I don't remember when I read these. I read them right after Blood Witch came out, so whenever that was. But this is a new, I'm gonna walk that back. This is a possible new favorite series. It depends on what Miss Susan Dennard does with the last book, because there are certain situations where I might have to set the series on fire. There are also certain situations where this will be up with Percy Jackson as far as favorite series of all time. Number 3 is Black Canary, a debut from this, I'm going to say last year, that caught your eye, because I haven't read any debuts this year yet, because it's just now March. I am going to say Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Boulet. This is about Donna. She's an indigenous teen who's just graduated high school, and she ends up caught up in this investigation that the FBI, I think, something like that, are doing into this drug that has been surfacing in her area. She has a lot of knowledge both of Anishinaabe traditional medicine and then like what you think of as like the typical science field. She's very good at both of those and like has paired both of them together very well, which has brought her to the attention of this team. I was surprised to find out that this was the author's first book. You can tell she has been crafting this for a very long time. The amount of care that is put into the way she structures this story, the way that she brings about the twists and the path that she takes you through, you can tell that a lot of it is very, very personal. It's based on things that she knows and has seen, has experienced, and you can tell that an immense amount of care was put into how she tells this story and how she portrays certain events in this story. It is not an easy book to read. I will say that there are trigger warnings for sexual assault, there are trigger warnings for violence against women, and then trigger warnings for anti-Indigenous sentiment. Just know that going in. However, it is well worth the read, and you will not be able to put it down. Number 4 is SpiderMan, the character most likely to win in a sass-off. It's funny because I did read this in 2018, and this would have been my answer if I had read it before I did this tag. Did I read it before I did this tag? I might have read this in 2019. I don't know. I don't know why this wasn't my answer in the last one, but it's Carden Greenbrier from The Cruel Prince. This character, but by just the very nature of the fact that he is a fairy prince, he has to be able to best anyone who tries to come at him with words or anything else. Like, it's funny. You can tell he very much prefers a witty repartee to, like, having to stab someone. He's not here for the violence, but he will, like, rip you to shreds with his words. I love him. I love his arc in this series. Like, his and the main character Jude's arcs in this series are just fantastic. Their chemistry is amazing. It's not a narrative that works in every situation, and in fact, if there was a real-life situation like this, I would be telling probably both of them to run for their lives. But they work so well together in, like, a fictional, very vicious fae setting. So I love this book. I love this series. And I want nothing bad to ever happen to Carden. Question number 5 is, Robin, your favorite childhood book or series? I think this is the one that is the same as last time. I can't remember what my answer was, but I'm going to say Dealing with Dragons by Patricia C. Reed. I actually may not have owned this. Did I own this? This is about Cimarine. She is a dragon's princess, and what that usually means is that a dragon has kidnapped the princess and brought them back to their cave so that the princess can do, like, chores and stuff for the dragon. Not a very good, like, system, because princesses typically don't know much about how to, like, do chores or cook food or any of that. In this case, Cimarine has in fact volunteered to be the dragon's princess because she doesn't like any of the men her parents are trying to get her to marry her off and get rid of her, because she's not exactly a proper princess. I love this series, and funnily enough, it does hold up really well to the modern lens. I don't want to, like, I'm not going to spoil a lot, but, like, there's just, like, some really nice stuff that this author does with, like, challenging gender norms, and just gender in general. Like, we have this idea that these dragons don't choose their gender until they've reached a certain age. Like, they can be either male or female. Up until that point, they're very fluid, and then they get to choose what they want to be. I love it. I also love, like they have a dragon king, and it doesn't matter whether it's male or female. Whoever it is, like, they're the dragon king. It's not main story stuff, but it's small touches that I feel like makes the world a little more inclusive. I still adore it. I love the characters. I love the wit, and just, like, the way that this series goes, the stuff we see Cimarine go through is just, it's so good. It's so good. And one of these days I am in fact going to reread this series. So number 6 is Black Widow, and that is an unexpected fave. I am going to go with Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed. I had heard a few things about this, but I hadn't really heard anything about what it was about, like whether or not people liked it. Like, there was a lot of controversy in regards to this for the reading rush and all that, because they forgot to read it, and, like, their loss, because this was such a good book. Like, I was hooked from page 1, just into the story, could not put it down. I loved this book so much. It was so good. I love the main character, Amira. We also have another main character named Alex, which I'm just like, she's okay. She's got some ways to go, and maybe have what I can't say that, never mind, because that'll spoil things. It's about Amira, who is a young black woman. She's 25. She's trying to figure out what to do after college, and she ends up becoming the nanny for Alex's 3-year-old, because Alex can't deal with a 3-year-old who asks a gazillion questions, which, why you would have children if you didn't want to be asked a gazillion questions. I don't, like, that's an entire phase. Like, for like a long time, entire phase. I really enjoyed this. I liked how this explored Emira's kind of just, as she's trying to go through after college and figure out what she wants to do, because she doesn't know what she wants to do. Like, she has, like, her parents have expectations, she has what her siblings have done, but she's kind of floundering and a little bit lost because she doesn't have anything that's particularly a passion and all of that, and I really related to that. So yeah, I wasn't expecting to have this be a 5-star book, but it ended up just blowing my very mediocre expectations away. Like, I was not expecting much, and it just met those expectations and exceeded. Number 7 is The Flash, and that is a book that you finished in 48 hours or less. I am going to say, excuse me while I ugly cry, I finished this almost entirely in one day. I had like an hour left that I had to read the next day. This is so good. This is another one where we've got a teenager towards the end of high school. She's going into her final semester, and there's some stuff that she's been keeping from her parents, and she's got a notebook that she's written that down along with a whole bunch of other very personal stuff down. She makes these lists, and her notebook goes missing, and then she starts getting blackmailed by someone who's like, hey, this list that has this very personal thing you don't want to tell your parents, you need to complete this list. I want you to do this to-do list. And she just like, crap. In trying to figure out who the blackmailer is, she goes to Carter, who was the last person that had her notebook. I loved the way this explored the end of high school and the pressures that teens face. I loved how it kind of explored the way friendships will change as you get towards the end of high school, and also it had a cute little romance that I enjoyed very much. It was very cute, and it's one of those that like you can like it's one of those that's like not like super die-hard intense from the very beginning, so you can kind of see maybe this might be one that like keeps going through college and all of that stuff, because they've met kind of at the very end and connected there. So like this is one that like they might grow into this relationship very well. Number 8 is Black Panther, and that is talk about a character that inherited their powers / problems from their parents. I'm going to talk about Nasir from We Hunt the Flame. This is about 2 different kids who have so many issues, thanks to just life in general, but specifically Nasir. His father has forced him to become an assassin. He is the crown prince. He's the one that's going to eventually be sultan, so not a smart idea, but his father has trained him and forced him to be an assassin. He is known as the Prince of Death. Like, people know when he comes, they are going to die, and it is just, like, such... He doesn't like it. And watching him struggle with this, and also with the fact that he is trying to do what his father says. And it's really interesting because it's not for the obvious reason that this is going on. And then he ends up kind of coming up against a assassination command that he cannot carry out. I love this book so much, this series. This book is not as stressful as the second book, but like this series is just peak romantic angst, so much like slow burn, and like it's slow burn, okay, I know there's some kissing before they get together. I still consider it slow burn because there is so much before they're even like they just are in denial for like almost 2 entire books that this is going to be a thing that happens, and I love it. And I love these characters, and I'm very glad that I read this series. There is a review, I think, that I just put up, or is going to be shortly coming up. I can't remember my schedule exactly, but like keep an eye on that. Hi, if the hair and makeup look slightly different, it's because because someone accidentally deleted a clip. So we are refilming these last few questions. It's fine, it happens. So we have to obviously at some point in this tag talk about Batman and a character that has achieved the improbable through hard work. Go with me on this one. It'll make sense in a minute. I can tie it back around to Batman, but like just go with me. I'm going to talk about Skye from I'll Be the One by Lila Lee. This is about, like I said, it's about Skye. She joins in does this K-pop competition where she is doing both the singing and the dancing, and there are a lot of people who don't think that she should be in the competition at all, but especially not the dance portion of the competition because she is plus size. Skye is like, well, I love my body and I can do the work, so I'm here and you're gonna have to deal with it. And I loved that attitude so much. The thing that, like, the connection that we're making here is Skye spends this entire book being told what she can't do. Or people trying to tell her what she can't do. And she goes and she's like, no, but I can. And I really appreciated how that storyline was handled. I said this multiple times. I like the fact that Skye's journey in here is not about learning to love herself or love her body. It is about standing up for herself and being like taking that and like, listen, I recognize my self-worth. I'm going to make you recognize it as well. So I really enjoy this. It will leave you feeling like sunshine, rainbows, and all of that happy stuff. And it's got a cute little romance in it, so highly enjoyed. I almost tried to recreate that book stack, but I don't have some of the books that I used for this, so whoops. Next, we have Iron Man, and that is a character that is handy in a tight spot. I'm going to go with Morris from The Sound of Stars by Alicia Dow because he ends up being handy in a very tight spot in this book. Can I tell you? No, I can't, because that will spoil plot things. But just, you know, you'll have to take my word for it. This is about Ellie and Morris. Ellie is human, and she is living on Earth at a time when Earth has been taken over by some aliens. And Morris is part of that kind of alien takeover. He is part of the advanced guard, and he runs into or gets involved with Ellie because she has this secret library that she is not supposed to have. It's kind of like, it's considered an act of rebellion. But Morris wants music because he's obsessed with music, and so he's like, listen, I won't tell anyone about this library if you will get me all of the music that you can get me. And so that kind of begins this relationship with them, and then some stuff happens and they have to go on the run together. And I absolutely adore this book. It has great demi-rep. It's just really fun. There's a lot about the situation that had me kind of maybe, I don't know how I feel about this, but it's handled so well that I really I love this book. It is so good, and I love it, and I recommend it to everyone. Especially if you are looking for like something that's going to be science fiction, but it's not like overwhelmingly sci-fi. This is very much still rooted in our real world, and there's not a lot that's different. Except for the fact that there are aliens and they have brought some technology that is different from ours. The next prompt is Superman, and that is a book that lived up to the hype. I know people would argue with me about that, but I'm going to say Ace of Spades by Feride Ebike-Iyamide. This is about Devon and Chiamaka, and they have been, like, there's text messages going throughout all of the students in school by this person named Anonymous that is kind of giving out information that they don't want people to know. Like, Devon has to deal with the fact that, like, now his entire school knows he's gay, and so he's like, I don't want this getting back to my mom, and he's freaking out. Chiamaka is freaking out because she thinks it's going to ruin some of the stuff that she's seeing is going to ruin her chances at getting into a good college, and so they end up having to team up to figure out who it is that is sending these text messages. Another important thing that you should know is they are the only 2 black kids at this private school, so yeah, there are a lot of suspects. I thought that this was so well done. You spend this book, so much of this book, you will spend stressed out because the author of this book was like, teenagers gonna teenage, and they don't make great, like, the author really didn't think about, are people going to agree with the decisions or think that these are wise decisions that these kids are making, and just was like, you know what, they're going to make the decisions that teenagers make, and it's stressful. It's stressful. I thought that this was really a fantastic kind of, like, look at how you can do characters in different ways, because we have a Devon who is very open to the reader right from the get-go. It's not hard to figure out what's going on with him. And then you have Chiamaka, who has all of these layers built up that you, as the reader, have to kind of peel away as the book goes on, and kind of so that you can understand what her motivations, what her thoughts are, because she's very much like a mean girl type character. I thought it was so well done. If you're looking for like a really good, like, kind of just sit with it thriller, like, there's not a lot that happens when you think of like specific plot events, but there is so much going on internally with these characters as they are trying to put these pieces together. And then the final prompt is Captain Marvel, and that is talk about your most anticipated new release. When I did this tag, Captain Marvel was about to be released, so I figured it fit. I have to say it is Chain of Thorns by Cassandra Clare. If it gets released this year, I'm hoping it gets released this year, because I have been waiting 2 whole books for a specific thing to happen. Has it happened? No. Last book, we got real close, multiple times, to this thing happening. And Cassandra Clare was like, but no, you can't have that yet. I really enjoy this series. I love the Shadowhunters, but like her historical stuff, like the Infernal Devices, the Lost Hours, just tends to be my favorite just because I think, I don't know, I just like it better. I like the characters better. I like the dynamics and all of that better in these books than I do in the more modern stuff. This has the potential to be my favorite Shadowhunters series, but we will see if that is, the case when this is over. Because, I mean, she could also do things that make me very angry. Although, considering what we know about the future, there are certain things that do have to happen in this particular story. So, like, it's not as stressful as it might have been if I didn't know the things that I knew already. It's not as stressful as the Infernal Devices was. Actually, no. It's not stressful because I don't know what's going to happen to certain characters. It is stressful because it's stressing me out because I'm not getting what I want. So if you have gotten to the end of this tag and you're intrigued and you would like to do this tag as well, I tag you to do the tag. You are tagged officially. Tag you, Pikachu. If you do this tag, make sure you let me know so I can come and find it and watch it as well and see what your answers are to these questions. But just for now, let's go ahead. If you are feeling chatty, I want to know the answer to number 11 for you. What is a book that you read that lived up to the hype? If you are not feeling chatty, but you still want to let me know that you watched to the end of the video, go ahead and leave me the superhero emoji. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and check out these videos over here. I do have a Batman themed one that I will put up here when it is live tomorrow, and whatever else is new on my channel will be down here. That is it for now, my friends. Happy reading, and I will see you later when we will talk about more wordy, nerdy things. Bye! I'm going to talk about nostalgia.